Good morning, everyone. I am Sarah Simon. I'm coming to you from Appleton, Wisconsin. And oh my goodness, it is so rainy again this weekend. I think the last 2 or 3 weekends we have had rain, and the weeks have been really nice when everybody's working, but the weekends seem to be rainy. Hopefully, it won't be a washout for those that have plans this weekend. I am so excited to be here with you this morning. Good morning, Karen Wetstein, and good morning, Kelly Perpich, and hello, Amanda. Yeah, I found some of these videos and I've been playing around with my video editing software a little bit because I had upgraded when they did some changes and they have some really, really cool features. And so I've decided to try to play around with them just a little bit. So thank you for all of you who are joining me on a Saturday morning. Um, I apologize for Tuesday. On Monday afternoon, it was probably about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I received a text from the company that was going to be putting on my roof from the hail damage that I had at my house. And he said, I think that I can get there um, tomorrow, and it looks like it's going to be a nice day. And just from the experience that I've had with my neighbors, the roofers end up seeming to work until late into the evening. And I thought, if anybody needs me, it's a good thing I canceled because it was really loud. And it also went until like about 8, I think about 8:10 they left. And they were there at 6:30 in the morning. Holy cow, they work so hard. But I did order them pizza at the end as a way to say thank you. So I know I was paying them quite a bit too, so that's a nice way to say thank you, but I don't know if that always gets passed along to the hard workers. So thank you, Kelly. I bought these earrings from a friend, Denise Krieger. She sold them at the used stamp sale that was at Kathy Miller's house. She had a whole bunch of them, and I just loved the butterflies. They're really, really lightweight, and they're a wooden earring, so it's really, really cute. Really cool, and they don't like weigh down your ear. So, hello, Denise Umloft. I'm sure you are back at it at school too. We had in service this week, so along with getting a new roof, we had all of the teachers back and all of the needs that brings to our department. And we've had a lot of changes with kids coming and going, and accounts were created and then they were deleted, and then we had to make more accounts. So it's kind of been one of those uh, crazy, crazy weeks. So I'm excited to be able to stamp with you this morning. Um, I also, as I was getting ready last night, I received a call from my mom. My phone was in my living room, and I was in here just like working away, trying to be creative, and I was not being very creative at the time. I was struggling a little bit, to be honest. And the phone rang, and I went to get it, and she told me that my nephew got engaged last night. So that's kind of exciting. We are going to have another wedding in our family, and I don't know the details. I sent him a little text, and my sister-in-law sent me some pictures of her wearing the ring and champagne flying and all of that kind of stuff. Evidently, they did it up at their cottage, and her mother has passed away, so her dad and her brother surprised them and came up there. So Santana let them know it was happening, told them that they should come up, so they're celebrating with the two families this weekend. My mom and dad are heading up there a little bit later today, but how exciting is that? I'm so excited for them. It means I'm getting older too, but it's fun to be able to see them move into the next stages of life. Okay, I do have some happy mail to share with you. So I watch another demonstrator, Tammy Litsky. I don't know if she's on here today or not. She usually watches the replays, but I watch hers and I make comments and things like that. And I was one of her prize winners. That doesn't happen very often that I win a prize watching somebody else. So she sent me this cute hippo card. Look at that. I'm going to actually zoom out here a little bit. There we go. I feel like I'm really in close anyway. So look at that cute little hippo. You are always on point. And then on the inside, she's got some of that paper. I love this paper that comes with that wreath, cottage wreath, I think it's called, bundle. And it has all this different paper that's really, really cool in all different colors. So that was from Tammy. And so thank you, Tammy. And look at, she had her envelope all decorated for me. That was such a nice surprise. All right, I have some prizes of my own to give away to you from last week. And so last week we made a couple of fall cards and then we made a waterfall card. So the first card that we made was this using the baby wipe technique, and it was a fun fold in that it was a book fold. And then we did some watercolor pencils and we made this fall card. And this too was a little bit of a fun fold in that it was a gate fold and opened up like that. And then we made our waterfall card, and I did add those little gems on there. So we have our little elephants where we can pull that down and then put it back up again. And so receiving these for making a comment, so every time you comment, your name is put into a drawing, is Kelly Wildenberg. So Kelly, I will get these off in the mail to you. And then for sharing, if you hit that share button and you share my video, whether it be to a friend in a message or if you share it to your Facebook page or a page that you have, your name also gets put into a drawing. And winning some of this seam binding women, that ribbon, ooh, that is in soft seafoam. And I just love this. I put this on a card, I think a couple weeks ago that we did. And it's just really, really sheer, and it's really easy to tie bows. So for sharing, I have Becky Weisky. So Becky, I will be getting this off in the mail to you. And then for placing orders, we had several people who placed orders. And I just want to make reference that my hostess code this way, my hostess code right there has changed from last week. So I am closing out the hostess because it's been a month and I am starting a new hostess code. So if you place an order now, we only have like 10 days, I think 11 days left of celebration. So if you wanted to get in on any of those products, now is the time to place that order, and that has changed, and that is down below. But for placing an order, receiving this perfect pomegranate. So to receive this set, you have to place at least $150 order. So this is a special hostess gift. And so receiving this, and this is a distinctive set. It's these, when you stamp these, they're absolutely gorgeous, is Julie Schlevy. So Julie, I will get this in the mail to you. And thank you to all of you who support my business by commenting, by sharing, and by placing orders. I wanted to remind you that coming up starting on September 1st is the Perfect Partners. And these are some dies that, and I'll zoom in here just a little bit. These are some dies that go along with some of the stamp sets that are either in the holiday catalog or that are in the annual catalog. And I actually get a chance to order these when you're a demonstrator, or if you're a discount shopper, you don't have to sell, but you just buy for yourself at a discount. We are able to get these a month early. So I was able to get these little piggy dies, and I want to show you the card that I made. So I'm just going to go through here. So this starts for you on September 1st. So if you were thinking at all of buying any of these stamp sets, you may just want to hold off until September 1st, because then if you buy them with the dies, you end up getting that bundle discount of 10%. So this was the card that I made with the little piggies. Look at that wagon, and it has that little pennant, the little banner, and it cut out the little piggy, and so he's in a wagon. And this I ended up making a easel card so that it stands up. There you go. You can see that a little bit better. So I just thought that those dies, they just kind of like with the hippo one, how they had the umbrella and they had the little pan for him to, and the little boat and the water droplets and all those little added things. With the little piggy one, they have cute things too, like wagons and flowers, and there's like a little scarf. Whoops, there's a little scarf that's on him, and there's some confetti and things like that. So just a fun dies that can do some fun things with sets that we already have. So I think that's it for all that I have for news. So I'm going to see if there were any comments on here. Oh, hello, Lisa. Hello, Jody. Aunt Mary, I'm glad your coffee's hot. I know there's no sun. My poor sister, she's up at the cottage with some friends, and they don't get up there that often during the summer. And unfortunately, it looks like they're not going to have the best of weather. But the lake is wet. And if it's raining out, you get wet. So you might as well just go in the lake, right? And enjoy your good time while you're up there. So I'm sure that the kids will be in the lake despite it raining a little bit. All right, I'm going to switch cameras here. Oh, it looks like my phone disconnected. Don't know what happened there. Let me reconnect here. Sorry, ladies. This hasn't happened to me before. I don't know. Here we go. I reconnected. Allow. And allow. There we go. I think I am connected again. Let me just get this set up again. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I don't know if I was just on it too long or why it disconnected, but it did. We'll go ahead and transfer. I'm going to keep an eye on that. All right, we are ready to do some stamping. I'm going to get this out of the way. I will go ahead like I did last time, and I will bring in the instructions, and I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here so that you can see those. Oh, and it is kind of blurry. I don't know if that is because why it disconnected or what is going on. I know that I need an update for my phone, but I didn't want to do it last night because I was afraid if I did it, and then something messed up, I wouldn't be able to get on. But maybe I needed to do it so that you could, so that it worked better. Sorry, I'm a little flustered here. I'm gonna back out. I'll just give you the directions. These will be posted afterwards. So I think I'm just gonna zoom out a little bit and hopefully you can see me well enough when I'm doing it down here to be able to see what I'm doing. All right, we are gonna be using the tree rings, the Rings of Love Designer Series paper, which is a celebration item that if you haven't gotten that paper yet, oh, it's so beautiful. There's so many different things in it. And so we're going to be using some of the Designer Series paper. We're going to be pairing it with some of the other embossing folders that we have. And so, yeah, I just have to not worry about it being a little blurry. And I apologize ahead of time, but I think you can see my hands and stuff okay, and it's not too blurry. I just did plug in my phone. I had forgotten to do that, but I will make a go of it. So I apologize if it's a little bit. All right. Here is our first layer. This is soft suede, and this measures 4¼ by 11, and I scored it at 5½. All right, and then we have a piece, and these are some of the colors we used last week too. They're beautiful fall colors. This is crushed curry, and this measures 4 inches by 5¼ inches. And I think you can see that I ran that through one of our brand new embossing folders that's called Leaf Fall. It's a 3D embossing folder, and it leaves such a beautiful leaf image. I just love that. So that is on crushed curry. Then the DSP that I'm using is this pattern from that Rings of Love. It has these acorns and all these fun leaves. And so I'm pulling out the crushed curry, I'm pulling out the soft suede, and I also wanted to do that pop of red. That is Poppy Parade. And so I do have a piece of Poppy Parade. And again, this is just a fun, easy layout. This measures 2¼ by 5 inches. So that's just going to go kind of in the corner there. And then this is just 1/4 inch shorter or smaller. So this is 2 inches, and that's 4¾ So we're just going to add a pop of that Designer Series paper on here. We're going to pull out. What I love about Stampin' Up! Is how all of the colors coordinate. We also have some Very Vanilla that's going to go on the inside. And I did have a little strip of the designer paper. It was just a 1/2 inch strip for the inside as well. I don't see that here. I don't know, when I took it out of my envelope, it might have dropped somewhere, so I may find it as we're going along here. I wanted to show you, I have another piece of the soft suede um, cardstock, and I have this because I wanted to show you these hybrid dies. If you have not seen the hybrid dies and embossing, I'm going to bring my stamp cut and emboss machine out here. And so this is the tree ring hybrid. So it's these tree rings that emboss the tree ring. So if you wanted to, you could just go ahead and you could emboss. So how I emboss those leaves, I could just emboss a whole background of the tree rings. But what goes along with these, which is really cool, and why it's called a hybrid, is we have these dies that match it that can cut those rings out. And you only have to pass this through your machine once because this die will set right inside of the embossing folder. And then I will take the cardstock that I'm going to cut and place that over the top, close up this so that it will cut. And all that you need to run this through your machine is the #1 platform. And then your die is going to come through. It's kind of like if you have a 3D embossing folder. And then you have the plate number 4, which is that specialty plate. Hopefully I didn't mess that up by letting go of it because I usually hold on to it pretty tight until I run it through there so it doesn't slide at all. All right, I'm going to not set this too far because we're going to bring this back in a little bit. I'm going to show you another little trick that's cool with these dies. So if I take this out, put my dies back on my little magnetic plate here, I have all of these tree rings that are embossed and they are cut out. Is that not cool? So I'll show you, you can see get them up close enough here. Oh, I am pretty blurry on Facebook, but these are all embossed and they are dyed or cut. So we are actually going to use this bigger one, and I'm going to set these aside for possibly another project that I have. I think that these go really cute with the gnome set as well. And I've seen so many cute cards online. I have not made one yet, I'm going to admit. But there are so many cute cards. Also, if we look at the dies, they have this. So this is the one that we're using. They have an inside to cut the inside part out as well. And so what we're going to do is, or what I did already, is I took some Very Vanilla, just a scrap, and I ran this through and cut this out so that I could place this. And I just have to find which way it goes. Nope, it goes the other way. There's like these little notches that help you to place it. That goes right inside of there, and I can stamp on here and put a greeting. So I just lined up that little notch and that little notch, and then all these little ridges will all match up. Isn't that cool? So that is what I did with that. We're going to do some stamping, and then we're going to bring our emboss and cut machine back in, or cut and emboss machine back in again, because I want to run this after I've done the stamping. I want to give this the same kind of texture that I have on the inside of this ring. So, and I apologize for how blurry this is. I have no idea what's going on this morning. So we're dealing with it. So if you jumped on late and you're wondering why is she so darn blurry today, I don't know. I really don't know. So something that I'm going to have to check into after we're not live. I did get disconnected somehow and then reconnected, and so I don't know if that's what my issue is. Okay, so I'm basically just looking where this lines up, where I'm going to want it to go on my card so I can figure out where I want to stamp my greeting. So I'm going to use the greeting thinking of you, and I'm using some soft suede ink, and I'm going to bring in this for just a little bit of cushion because this is a photopolymer. Make sure I have this the right way again. Yep. You know me, I would stamp it and then be like, oh, I stamped it the wrong way. All right, so I'm just going to put the thinking of you in the center. I did a pretty darn good job there. It looks pretty straight. This leaf is coming from the Fond of Autumn stamp set that we used last week in that second card that had the gatefold. And I just wanted to put a couple of leaves on this to kind of bring in those leaves. And I wanted to bring in some of the colors. So I'm done stamping here. I have a colleague who lost her mother-in-law, and so I wanted to get a card off to her. And I thought I always like to just, if I do a thinking of you, not put anything on the inside so that when I decide to send it, if it's a sympathy, I might find like a sympathy stamp to go with it on the center, on the inside of the card. And then but if I make it ahead of time and I don't know it's sympathy, I just kind of leave it because maybe somebody was just diagnosed with cancer or something like that, and I wanted to send a thinking of you. And now, if it has sympathy on the inside, I'm kind of stuck with that being a sympathy card, and I want it to be something else. So I usually tend to stamp my outsides as kind of something generic, so that when I go to use the card, I can tailor it a little bit more to whatever the occasion is, or what I'm sending the card for. I'm having a really difficult time speaking today. I think the whole blurry camera is throwing me off a little bit because you can't even read that says thinking of you, and I have no idea why. So, and I don't know, maybe it's just my iPad. But it looks like on YouTube it's looking pretty bad too. So, I have no idea what's happening in transition here. I'm going to go ahead and put this platform down again. I'm going to look for my rings. Here they are. Okay, and I'm using this biggest one. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set this inside of there. So I want to match up, again, those little notches. So there's a little notch there, and there's a little notch there. And I'm going to match that up, those notches up. And then I'm going to go ahead and close it once I have it. I just need it to move just a tad. Now I moved it too much. I think I just have to bring it closer to me. Trying to hold it out in front of you is difficult. So I'm going to just bring it a little closer. There we go. Okay, so now I have that lined up. I'm going to set this down. And again, I need my specialty plate, which I set somewhere in this tiny little space that I'm working in. And I'm going to grab another one. I've got two of them. It's on my workspace somewhere. And we're going to just run that through. All right, I can bring this completely out of the picture. And don't want to lose this one since I already just misplaced one. But now I've added that, and it's hard for you to see this because of how blurry it is, but I've added that embossing to that ring as well. All right, so I'm going to bring this big ring in. I'm going to bring that in, and that's just going to set right on top of there like that. Okay, let me go ahead and add some glue, and we'll do that right away. That's pretty easy to put into place. Again, if you're hopping on a little bit late and it's blurry, I know. I apologize. Oh, Lisa, thank you for saying that. I suppose I should report to you since I told you guys that I was going to have you hold me accountable. I was saying it on the air so that you could hold me accountable. My goal, I found my other plate. My goal for my diet that I've been on was to be down 40 pounds by the start of school. So we started in service on Wednesday, and the kids come this upcoming Wednesday, and I'm down 55 or 54, almost 55, so 54. So I shattered my goal, which I'm really excited about. I do continue to lose and I am eating. Somebody said to me, "How are you doing that? Are you eating?" Yes, I'm following this plan, but I will admit I have not cheated hardly at all all summer, actually since May 18th. I've stuck pretty well to the plan because I've realized for myself that sugar is my heroin. It is really, really addictive. And I just can't have any of it because if I have it, then I just over have it. I can't do it in little portions. And I guess through this process too, learning about my relationship with food, um, I have learned that food, the reason that we have food is to fuel our bodies. And that is what I'm using food for now is to fuel my body. And it doesn't have to taste the best. And if it does taste really, really good, then I put too much fuel in my body. And so I'm making the fuel that I need to be able to function in the world and to feel good and be able to sleep and be able to have energy and all of that other kind of good stuff. Okay, now I'm on a diet thing here. I don't need to talk about that. I'm going to cut that little half-inch strip that I lost. Sorry about that. It's somewhere probably. I did have a half-inch strip cut. There we go. This just adds a little bit of that paper to the inside. And the problem with me now is that I have to keep it off because those of you that have known me for a really, really long time know that about maybe 6 years ago, I had lost quite a bit of weight, but then I've put it all back on and then some with COVID. So now the goal is to keep it off. And my mom is rocking it too. She is doing awesome. It's nice to do it with a partner, especially since we do spend a lot of time together in the summer. It's been really, really nice. Okay, I am, like I said, I'm not putting a greeting in this right now. If I send one of these off to my coworker that lost her mother-in-law, I'll just put a sympathy type greeting on the inside. I want to pop this up on some dimensionals. Oh, I know I have one. That's a brand new sheet. I have to have some. Here we go. Go ahead and throw some dimensionals on this. I just think that these wooden rings, these tree rings, are so cool. I have just loved playing with them. And I've seen some really, really creative things done because of having the inside that you can cut out like I did, having the outside you can do stuff with blending or shading on the edges and just do one color instead of having to do two colors. And when you do that, when you take like a blending brush or something and go over it, that embossing just pops a little bit more. So we're going to go ahead and pop that greeting on there. And I'm going to get these out of my way. And the last thing that I'm going to do is to just dress this up a little bit. So I brought in some of this ribbon. This ribbon kind of reminds me a little bit of gauze. It's called woven ribbon, but if you look at it closely, it sort of looks a little bit like strips of gauze. But it's super easy to tie a bow with this because it is like a cottony ribbon. Um, the bows come together super, super easy. I don't even need my bow maker because it's super much. Now I'm on the air and I won't be able to tie one, but I find when I'm working with it, if you start with a bigger bow and then you just keep kind of pulling in the tails a little bit, make it a little bit smaller and a little bit smaller, um, it really makes a nice bow. And here's my scissors and put it back where it belongs. Okay, so there's a little bow. I thought about coloring this, but I kind of liked the white, the off-white there, because I did use the very vanilla on the inside for that greeting. So I'm just going to go ahead and attach this down here just to add that little bit of something to the card, that embellishment. And then I did have, and I don't know where they went, I did have some of those brass dots. I just have a mess here today. I didn't put everything in buckets like I did last week because I'll be honest with you, I worked until like about 2 o'clock this morning to get it ready because it just wasn't flowing last night. I'm going to grab some from my those I know I have more of, so I can, I'll find them on my desk somewhere along with that little piece of paper. God only knows where it escaped to. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pick up some of these and just kind of place them and get a little bit more putty. And I'm going to place them in the yellow part in between some of those embossed leaves. And we'll throw one maybe like right there. And I might move this one over a little bit. There we go. All right, so just a little bit of something to that card. And I do have an envelope, and I do have a piece of paper that I cut so that we could decorate that envelope to match on the outside. Hopefully nobody had any really big plans where the weather needed to be nice today if you're living in Wisconsin. But oh my gosh, it could be worse. I saw Arizona. Did anyone see those images where they were having to carry kids off of a bus because the bus was stuck in floodwaters? I think that was in Scottsdale. That's just crazy. So it could be worse. A little rain is, and we need the rain. I mean, my lawn is loving the rain, but it's just hard when you don't have, when you live in a state where you don't have very many months of summer. You like to have as many of them as possible that are rain free. But all right, so there is our first Thinking of You card with that Rings of Love designer series paper. We've got the little fall leaf embossing folder as well as those tree rings in this card. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move this stuff out of the way, but I don't want to lose it, so I'm going to set it somewhere where I can see it. Next, we are going to do a Christmas card. I haven't done a Christmas card in a while. I had done some in July, and oh, Marcia, you're asking if I'm on Saturdays again. I ended up having a new roof put in on Tuesday, and so I couldn't go live on Tuesday. So I said I would move to Saturday because I knew I would be in town on Saturday. Next week I could do Saturday again. I just have to figure out if Saturday's better or if Tuesday's better for people, because I could really do either. So why don't you in the comments, let me know, what do you prefer? Do you prefer next Saturday, or do you prefer me come live again on Tuesday? And you're not even going to be able to read this, I don't think. So I don't know why I'm putting it here because it looks like it's super, super blurry. Yeah, it looks pretty blurry. So I don't think you're going to be able to read this. So I will just give you the dimensions. So I'm going to show you my inspiration for this card. I received this card from Christine Bertram, who is another demonstrator. Isn't that beautiful with the Rings of Love? And I loved this fun fold. And so I wanted to look at how did she make this fun fold? And so we're going to make this fun fold, but we're not going to do the tree rings. We are actually going to use the candy canes, the sweet candy canes. So I'm going to set my inspiration out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and bring in, this is the paper that is, aren't these candy canes just like so fun? And what I love that Stampin' Up! Did with this is that they made the candy canes so that they go in different directions. And so we have two dies that match. There is a stamp that has each of the candy canes that you can stamp yourself. Otherwise, there are dies. So I'm going to use this candy cane right here, the red and green one. And over here is another red and green one that goes in the opposite directions. And there's dies to cut out in both directions. And there are stamps that have the candy canes, the little J part of the candy cane going in different directions. Um, so that is really, really cool. You could cut this whole page of candy canes out and have a whole bunch of them to make cards with. I used these, and through the magic of TV, I do have those cut out already for us. So I'll get to that in just a little bit, but I wanted to show you this paper before I just bring out the candy canes. And I'm going to set my candy canes inside. Put them right back inside of here. I set them inside of here so that I don't lose them. Look at this die that comes with it. That's this striped. I did not use that in this card, but I just love that. Okay, we've got a couple of these little leaves, and this label right here, you can stick an actual candy cane through the top and the bottom, and then just put a little greeting on it and stamp that on there. It's really cool. You just put the top and the bottom through the candy cane through there, and then just stamp a greeting in the center. All right, so these are, and I don't even have these all put together. I just did the ones that I needed. But it has the candy canes. It has this little leaf image and some really cool greetings. I just think the stamp set. My friend Kathy Miller made a bunch of these for a swap that I was in, and I will share some of them with you when we get closer to Christmas because she did an awesome job. All right, so our dimensions for this, since you can't really read my thing, but like I said, I will post it later for you. We're going to start with some real red cardstock, and this measures 4¼ by 11. And I scored this at 2¾ at 4¼ at 7¼ and at 8½. Again, I will have those dimensions. It's 2¾ 4¼ 7¼ and 8½. Okay, and I mentioned that I was going to be using the candy canes that had the garden green and red, the real red together. So let me just get some of this out here so I can show you. So I used these candy canes right here. I had one cut out and the other one cut out. All right. I have a little circle. This is the largest of the stitched circles that are in those stylish dies. And I have that is just some of our vellum. Right. I have 2 pieces of garden green, and both of these measure 4⅛ by 4⅛. They are square. Okay, so I've got 2 of them that measure the exact same. And then I have one that measures 4⅛, and then this is 2�3/8 inch wide. Then you want to get some 2 different patterns that go together of your designer series paper. So I opted for this fun red with white polka dots. So this measures 3⅞ by 3⅞. And then I used this stripe that has the green and the red, which is the back of that. And this measures 3⅞ by 3⅞. I have my panel for my greeting, and this measures 2⅛ by 3⅞. Okay, we don't have a lot of stamping that we have to do. I have a scrap of the garden green, and I'm going to bring in one of the greetings and a Versamark. This greeting says candy cane wishes and mistletoe kisses. And I'm going to ink this up, and I am going to just check here. I'm going to, sometimes you get a stamp, and I can show you this. This has a lot of extra rubber around the outside, and sometimes you can end up getting halos because of that. You can actually trim that with the scissors. I was going to take it off my block and do that after it happened to me last night twice, but I completely forgot to do that. I was really tired by the time I was doing this card, so this was the last one that I made. I made that pig one, and then I'm like, oh, I don't know that I want to show that before the dies are even available. So I'll maybe do that pig one for some other class that I do. Okay, so I put the Versamark on there. I had run the embossing buddy over this last night. So you would go ahead and add the white powder, and then I would take and heat that up with my heat tool, which is really loud. And I don't think that you want to listen to that. So I already heated it up, and I took the smallest circle of the stylish dies and I cut it out. Notice I cut so that the greeting was down towards the bottom and it's not centered because I want to put a bow up here. And so I wanted to leave a little space for the bow. So I purposely cut this so that it wasn't completely centered. All right. Let's see. Some of you are answering my question that I had. Oh, Linda, you're hopping in a few minutes late. I'm a little blurry today and I don't know why. So I'm not exactly sure why it's so blurry. And I'm looking like I have a spot on here. Let me see if I turn my overhead light off, if that helps. Yeah, I think that disappears. So sorry about that. I didn't realize there was a glare. Maybe it's just because of the Versamark. I'm not sure. All right, we are ready to put this together. I'm going to do one more little bit of stamping here. We're going to do a greeting on the inside. So I'm bringing out some real red. And I'm going to use the Christmas cheer to go on the inside. So candy cane wishes, mistletoe kisses, and then on the inside, Christmas cheer. And I am going to stamp this a little bit to the left. That's a little bit crooked. I'll try it again. I do have a scratch here. Here it is. I'm just going to make sure my stamp is on here straight. Yeah, I just have to make sure that I line my bottom up. It's not on my sticker straight, but it's on my block straight. So I just have to line the bottom up with my paper. There, that's better. And then we have this distinctive little green. And I'm going to bring some of the Garden Green ink in and just stamp that to the right of that greeting. Okay, so Christmas cheer. And that's why I wanted the greeting off a little bit to the left. All right, our stamping is done, and all that's left is for us to really put this card together. So what we're going to do is start by attaching the designer paper to each of these layers of Garden Green. Now I am going to get your input on something. So I'm going to ask you now, do you want me to make this card? And there's a little bit of a delay. So that's why I have to ask you now, even though I'm not at that, because otherwise I'll be sitting waiting. Would you like to have me make the card where I cross the candy canes like that? Or do you think it would be fun to make the card where I put the candy canes together like that and make a heart out of them? So let me know if you want them crossed or a heart. And whatever seems to be the most popular is how I will make it. And while you are tuning in on that or chiming in, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to layer the designer paper onto the Garden Green. And I'm going to also adhere this striped paper. I love all the different stripes and patterns in this paper. And they bring in like pool party and some other, non-traditional, candy cane or Christmas colors, which is kind of cool as well. All right, and then we're going to layer our greeting for the inside on here. All right. So last night when I was making this, I started with the outside, and then I realized it was really hard to line things up after that. So this time I'm going to start with the inside and see if that works better. Like I said, I only got this in a swap, so I was just kind of guessing how Christine put it together, and I struggled a little bit by starting with the very top one. And so now I'm going to start with the inside, and I'm going to go ahead. There's just an eighth of an inch difference, so that it's like a 16th of an inch all the way around. So there's my inside. And all I did was fold these. I had this folded already to get it in my envelope. I just alternated folding these Mountain Valley. Okay, and I'm going to actually bring my bone folder in while you guys are still commenting and give this a good burnish on the back here. And we'll give this a good burnish on the front. All right, what do we have going on here? Crossed, 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 cross. We got one heart, cross, cross. Okay, I did it crossed when I made it last night. Either way is cute. Cross, cross. Okay, we're going to do cross. Cross definitely one. Okay, now I want this to go in here. And I only want it to be glued onto here because this has the part that has to stay free so that I can pull it out. It can't be attached to that. So instead of attaching my glue or putting my glue on this layer, I'm actually going to put it on the red layer. Make sure that I leave a little edge around the outside because there is a little bit of an edge, and then I'm just going to add some glue on the inside. You really don't need a ton of glue. This doesn't, you don't like pull on it that it's going to come off. Okay, so I want to make sure that those three edges that I have, so up from the fold and then the top and the bottom, that they are about even. And if they are about even, then this will lay right where it's supposed to on here. Okay, it's all set to match up, provided you keep an even amount on all of the sides. Then we're going to do the exact same thing with this one. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put the glue on this part right here. And again, I'm just going to go around the outside. This actually goes right up to the edge, so you can go right up to the edge on the right hand side. And then again, I'm going to line up in the corner. Okay, so those three sides, I just want to line those up so that it's about an even edge around the three sides. And then go ahead and press that down. And if I line that up, this is going to look like this. So I get to see both of the papers, but then they pull out. Okay, again, my sample that I had from Christine, we saw the mushroom paper, we saw this checked paper, and then it opened up into the greeting on the inside. That was my inspiration for this card. All right, I felt that putting these on, we crossed them and putting them on there, that was a little bit dark. So I decided that I wanted to mute the paper a little bit. And I do that by using some vellum. I didn't want to use white. I still wanted to see the paper through there, but I really wanted those candy canes to pop out. So that's why I wanted to use vellum. Now, if I put the vellum down now, I'm not going to know where I really want to put it so that it hides the candy canes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cross my candy canes outside of being on the vellum. And so I just kind of laid them down on my surface. And when they were where I wanted them, I went ahead and picked one of them up and just put a little dot of glue. You could also use glue dots if you wanted to. And I'm just lining up the bottoms and the tops a little bit, okay, to cross them. Right? Once I have that done, I'm going to go turn them over and I'm going to actually put some dimensionals on here to pop it up onto the vellum. And so I do have to be careful because I'm going to show you when it goes on the vellum, there is a part like this really high part and the really low part that doesn't fit on the vellum. So you just have to be careful that when you put your dimensionals on that you don't go all the way to the bottom. I can go to the tip. The tip is on, but this highest part is not on the vellum at all. So when I put my dimensionals on, I just kind of made sure that I stayed in that area there. It wouldn't hurt it if it went onto the paper, but because I'm building it, I'm gonna set these here and then I'll throw them in my little bucket. I don't know why I just don't put them in my bucket right away. My bucket's on the left-hand side and I'm crossing over and putting them on the right-hand side. So there we go. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and place these down. On the vellum. And now that it's placed on the vellum, I can flip it over and see where the candy canes are. So I know where I can add glue so that you will not see that glue through because the candy canes will cover it. And I'm just going to set that down in the center. Right. This is going to be where our candy canes cross. We're going to put that little circle so that it's kind of centered. And all I'm going to do is throw a little bit of glue in the center of here so that I can pop that down on there. And again, using the liquid glue gives a little bit of wiggle room so that if it doesn't look like I have it centered, or if I need to, it doesn't look like it's straight, I can always move it a little bit right or left until it's completely glued down. Then we have this combo pack of Real Red and Garden Green ribbon. And I'm just going to make a real tiny, again, this is a cottony ribbon, so the bows that it makes really nice bows. It's pretty easy to use. I do have my bow maker here, but I found last night that I just wanted to make a real tiny one, so I just kept pulling on the ends again until I got it to be about the size that I wanted. Here my knot looks a little bit bigger than my bows, but we're good. Got it really small this time. This one's smaller than the one I did yesterday. Okay, and then I'm going to put that towards the top so that I can still read the greeting. Trim this just a little bit more. And I just need a glue dot to do that. That up towards the top so it doesn't cover our greeting at all. So candy cane wishes, mistletoe kisses, and then we pull it open and Christmas cheer. So kind of a very goes together. It's mostly the DSP does most of the work on this one. Same thing with her sample that Christine made. The DSP adds so much to this. There's a little bit of stamping and she cut out some of those tree rings and mushrooms. Isn't that gorgeous though? I loved that card when I got it. I'm like, I have to copy that. So we copied it, which I just did it with the candy canes. All right. And again, I have an envelope and I have some of the red and white paper. I chose to do the red and white paper because all those candy canes that you can cut out are on that striped paper. And I didn't want to use all of those up because I have some other projects that I want to use with some of those candy canes. And so I decided I would use some of the red paper for my envelope this time. But look at how cool that is. That has some of the pool party in with the red and the green. So you could make it look even, you could throw pool party in there instead of having just red and green and have it look even more different than it does right now. All right, so there is our envelope, and notice it's still an A2 card, so it still fits in there, and the person just has to take it and go like that to open it. I don't know what the name of that fold is, but and I only have 2 cards for you today because, ladies, I needed some sleep. I had one night this week that I was up until 3 doing some data entry. other nights that I was up until midnight and back into work, and it was getting late last night, and I had no more creative energy left. So we got two cards today. So we've got the thinking of you with the rings of love and the candy cane fun fold card. All right. I am not going to have much light on me if I go back to my desk, but I will go ahead and pop on back to my desk. I just have to find my mouse. Oh, there it is. I have a lot of things on top of things right now. So there we go. Here I am back. Ooh, that light is really bright. We'll turn that off so that you don't have to look that much at me. There we go. So thank you so much for joining me today. I enjoyed making these cards. I apologize for how crazy things were with things being blurry and all of that kind of stuff. But I really, really appreciate you supporting my business and popping in today. I will go back and look at your comments to see if Saturdays work better for people or Tuesdays. I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do. Saturday mornings, Saturdays work better. It looks like maybe Saturday mornings might be the thing. We might just stay on Saturdays. I know next Saturday I'm available because I have to stay home because I start my stamping clubs next week. And so I have that on Sunday. And so that's what I'm going to be working on most of the day today. So I think I'm caught up with work at school. And so I'm going to work mostly on stamping this weekend, which is my joy and passion. So thank you so much for joining me. I will be back again next Saturday then with more ideas and more prizes. And I can't wait to share what I come up with you next week. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next